Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll open up our meeting at 5:06. Thank you, 5:06 p.m. For this meeting of committees of the Board of Trustees for HCISD. We will call to order the Facilities and Safety Committee meeting. This and important to state that this meeting has been posted in accordance with guidance. So the first agenda item is the public comments for agenda topics. Do we have any public comments?
Committee Chair, there are no requests for public comments for agenda items.
Thank you so much. So we'll move right in to reports of the presentation of school safety grants and MUSC-funded grant from Mr. Tapia.
Clicker's not working. Dr. Renigan, members of the Facilities Committee, and Dr. Corton. I'm going to start off going with trying to get the clicker working first. The TEA Safety Grant Funded projects. We have the Emergency Responders Communication Enhancement System, or the BDA system we call it, bidirectional amplifiers. And work is being done to all of our schools under this TEA grant. And we have 12 schools that have been completely completed. The frequency testing has been done and passed, so those are done. And there's 12 schools that are complete, and they're just pending the next tests. And then there's 4 schools only that we have some wiring pending, and those are the large schools, like the 2 high schools in Cano. So there's a lot more work there. So by the time they get testing on these, they'll be completed on the other ones, and they'll continue that testing. So that's just an update on that project. Under the TRE projects, we have the chiller line replacement at the Annex building. That one, there was some work, some installation work on the outside of the building. That work's been done. I'll show you a photo here in a sec. And then they're just doing last minute checking the system, doing final punch list. The gym lockers, the units have been installed. They're operational both on the boys and girls side. Again, they're just doing controls or doing some electrical rewiring. They have to reshuffle some wires. So they're about 88, 90% done, but the units are operational. The gym high school, which is the gym at South, the units, this is not the locker rooms, this is actually in the gym. That's a new one we approved a few months ago. We're waiting for the submittals to be approved and get ordered so we can have a date of when those units will be coming in. And then Long Elementary, we're doing LED lighting on the entire school. We're about 85%, and I'll show you a photo here of where we are. First, on the chiller lines, you can see the metal pipes on both sides of that building. Recessed area, those are metal jacket insulation that was done around the pipes, and that has to be done when they have to shut off the system, dry up the pipes, because you can't put the insulation while the pipes are wet and sweating. So they had to do some work there, and that's done. So they're just doing the final review and the punch list. Those are the units I talked about at the PE locker room areas at South. They're operational, and they're just also pending some work on the outside with checking the pipings and the controls and the valves and things like that. This is the Long Elementary. The pink areas were completed as of September 10th. I got an update on October 3rd that the green areas had been done, so all the classrooms have been completed. Went there yesterday and today. They're working on the office area. Should be completed by Friday, and then during the fall break, they'll do the hallway so they don't interrupt all the traffic that's going on back and forth in the classrooms. And there's a picture of the lighting, the LED lighting on the classrooms. The top, those are complete. On the bottom left, you see a worker there working on pulling some wires and ballasts. And the bottom right is a hallway with the old T8 systems, and they have that dingy yellowy tint. And you can, I know it's kind of hard to see from the photos, but when it's complete, it just makes everything so much brighter and wider, and of course a lot more energy efficient. So we're almost done with that project. Under the maintenance tax note funded projects, we have the Lamar Entry Security Vestibule remodeling we're doing. We're about 75, 80%. We got some preliminary drawings in our office. We're doing a review with our staff, make sure everything's in accordance with our specs and design. And once it's finalized, we'll put it out for bids. We're hoping to award this one in the December board meeting. So at the next meeting in November, I'll give you an update of the bidding dates and proposal submission timelines. The Aquatic Center, I didn't update you last time because we had the meeting at Travis, so we had that event over there. So we didn't actually have a presentation on the projects, but the Aquatic Center, if I would have reported at that time, I would have said that we did a bid opening. We did a bid, 2 o'clock, we were in the lobby and nobody showed up. So we didn't get any bidders. So which we thought was kind of strange. So since we didn't open anything up, we just extended the bid 2 weeks, put it in the paper again. And again, no bidder showed up. So 0 takers. We're going to try it a third time. We're going to get bids on October 30th and hopefully award it at the November board meeting. In talking to the engineer, trying to decide, well, we've talked to some firms. It's out at the AGC, the contractor's office, for plans where everybody checks. And just some of the feedback they think what's happening is this is a very specialized system. Air conditioning contractors work on regular chillers and AC units. These are for swimming pools, dehumidifiers. They run 24/7. And the people who work on them, when they're broken, they have to be certified by the manufacturer, which is up in Chicago or New York or Canada. It's way up there. They have some people certified that work here in Texas, but nobody's here in the valley. So up and down the valley, more and more districts have put pools, but everyone's having the same problem. When they break down, they can't get anybody to service them. And there's Pool Pack and Dectron, which we have, Soresco, Desert Units. There's like 4 or 5 brands down here, and they all have the same problem. Well, because of the issues we've had, I'm trying to get people down to service it. Our aquatic people are like, can you put a timeline that they must service within 24 or 48 hours? Put some kind of timeline, because it takes forever for them to come down, and we're always scrambling trying to get these things back up and running. So we put a 48-hour notice that they must respond. We think that scared them away too, because the general contractors, the big AC contractors, have to call the subcontractor, who have to call the manufacturer or certified people. They don't want to be responsible for that. They don't want the headache. So I think that's what scared some people away. So we looked up on Buy Board. There are one idea was to go to Buy Board. You pick a vendor, 2 or 3, call them, here's some plans. You know, they're up in Houston, Dallas area, Fort Worth, maybe even out of the state. But when you do that and go straight to the Buy Board, we're going to pay a 15, 20, 25% premium. Our budget's $2 million. It'll probably go up to 2.5 or higher. Don't really want to do that. So we're going to rebid it, and then we're going to send an invitation to bid to those that are listed in the Buy Board. Pick about 6 or 8 really big firms and see if we get any bites. But I think it's worth trying one more time, because it's just down here in the valley, people don't want to bid on it. So that's what's been going on with this Aquatic Center project. We were worried about if we lost too much time. We had a window from April, May to early August, because polo season starts, water polo, in August, and we want to have it available. We're now a little afraid that we may have to, that window's moved. So in talking to the aquatic folks, we may not be open till September, October, or November. Who knows right now? Can you do that? Come up with a plan B, maybe go to Pendleton Park pool, something else, use neighboring district pools, or we wait a year and try to hit that window again so that we don't lose these critical 2 months. But in the bidding, we're going to ask how much time will it take to get these units, depending on which manufacturer we pick, and hopefully we can hit that window, although it's going to be tight. But if not, and we met with Coach Davies, Yvonne from the Aquatic Center, and she said if we need to lose a month or 2, that's fine. They'll just make arrangements to use a local pool, other districts, always away type things. But she says we can't afford that. If this thing really shuts down and we can't fix it, then we lose the pool for the entire fall or year, because by the time we get someone to order new equipment, it could take 6, 8 months to get in anyway. So she's like, they really want us to keep going, because they're afraid this thing's just going to die, and then there's no pool. Water will turn brown and green and can't dehumidify the space, and just really unusable. So that's an update on the Aquatic Center. Any questions on this project?
Go ahead.
Let me show you some pictures on Lamar.
Hold on, Mr. Tapia, really quickly. Go ahead.
So I guess my question is, there are ways to obviously award contracts without going through the bidding process. obviously, for a lot of vendors, the bidding process itself is an annoyance, right? And they just, they're putting all this work forward, to get you, to try to get an award. I don't know if it makes sense to use another method. Basically, with your expertise and everything you've done so far, you kind of know what you need, what the needs are and how much that would cost. If we use another method, could we then just have you negotiate that and then go out and then, and sort of find a vendor that can do the work? It might not be a bad idea, because it seems like we're going to keep running into the same problem here.
Yeah, we talked about some options. Another thing is trying to get general contractors to bid, like Noble Construction, Spa Glass, Wilson, these big general contractors, and they hire the AC people, the specialty sub on the units, a duct company, an electrician, plumbing company, all under one umbrella. But again, you're going past the sub, you're going straight to a general who's going to organize it all for you. And again, it's going to cost 25 to 40% more. We have a very tight budget this year, and we just don't have that extra money. Or if we do, we may have to ask for money out of fund balance or other, there's no other money to get. So that would require some additional funding. So we want to give this one more shot to see if we can get it close to our budget.
And that's what I was going to say. That's, for me, we're going to go out to bid one more time. I think that changing our strategy around that and doing the invitation to bid might get us where we need to be. And then we'll come back to the committee and share that information with you all. I want to make sure that we also remember that we're going to keep kids at the forefront, right? And so as we're looking at that timeline, making sure that wherever we end up with this, we'll have a plan in place prior to coming forward with a recommendation.
Question, if I may?
Please.
Just so that we're all on the same page, can you tell us what the Dectron does specifically?
Show you some pictures. There's a pool. On the right-hand side, you have two really big units. They bring in, they return the air from the swimming pool creates a lot of humidity. You have to constantly bring that air back into these units. They dehumidify it, get the moisture out, and then turn it into cold air conditioning and pump it back into the unit. And it's a continuous cycle. There's a lot of duct work involved. There's piping involved with the water flow. It's tied into and you can see on the right-hand side, the duct work all has to go. So when you demolish this, you got to take all that duct work off. There's one garage door that was installed that they probably won't fit in there. And we may have to remove and break a part of the wall out and then put everything back. They're tied into, integrated with the pump systems that send the water flow to the pool and back to the filtration. And there's controls on the left bottom. It's kind of hard to see all the wiring.
So,
There's
but Oscar, is
controls
the
that-
main purpose is to dehumidify
Dehumidify.
the pool area,
Right, that's the main issue.
and then it also is connected to the water system, the pool, actual pool?
Yes, and actually, when it does this dehumidification, it creates heat that's exhausted. That heat has been recaptured to heat the pool into the heating system. So it's tied into the heating. There is a backup heat. If they need more heating, there's a boiler with gas that creates more heat. But for the most part, they get the heat off the Dectron units as well, especially for the big pool. The smaller pool, the special pool, needs a higher temperature, and they'll kick on the boiler to help keep that one at 88 degrees. When the small pool is like at the big pool's at 81 degrees, and the warm pool's at about 88. So it's very critical to the control of the temperature as well.
Thank you.
So just another follow-up to that. So you think through what you've learned so far, just some modifications to the specs of the bid might solve the problem, you think?
Yeah, minor, taking out the timelines that we put in there, and then inviting companies that probably didn't see the local newspaper here in the Valley or our webpage, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, to see if any of those big contractors over there will come down here and take this job on.
And locally, I don't imagine there's a lot of people that do this work, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Locally, I don't know, is there a lot of people that do this kind of work?
Not too many. but I can think of Central Air and Heating could probably take it on if they wanted to. Victoria Air, DNF, and some of the companies down here.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
They
if
could
you-
probably
if
do
you-
it, but they just didn't want to bid on this one.
Because if you could legally, you know, you have to check with our council on this, but if you can make the case for single source procurement, if there was only one vendor that can actually do this work locally, if you can make the source for single source procurement, then maybe you can circumvent a lot of these bidding things and whatever, and then save time and money for the district, because you would know what you're willing to spend on that, and then you could save a lot of effort. I don't know, I'm just throwing different
and
ideas out there.
Yeah, we kind of did something similar by checking on the buy board. If we don't bid it out, if we go straight to vendors on buy board, you can select 3, 4, or 5, and if only one bids, it's on the buy board, and you can take that one bid.
Sure,
But if you get multiple, then you get the benefit of the best price.
sure.
So that's kind of a similar concept to what you're saying.
Did I understand you correctly, that the local guys would have to subcontract with a specialist that is certified, and we don't have any certified techs locally?
That's correct. They would have to they'd have to order the equipment from, like, if it's a brand Dectron or Poolpack or Soresco, like the one Brownsville has. They have to buy it from the manufacturer, that's those brands. But they just sell it to you, they don't install it. So then a local contractor, if they know how to do it, they can try to install it. If not, they'll go look for a sub that specializes in installing this kind of equipment, and they have someone on their staff that's certified to work on these systems. And if there's an issue, they can troubleshoot and help
But
fix it,
some
right?
local people
But the
have
local
the
people
certified, or no?
don't.
They do not have
No,
the
that's
certified.
the problem we have with our current system. When we call someone, we have to call Dallas, Houston, some companies up there, we have 1 or 2 phone numbers. There was a company called Hayden that they had people on their staff certified to do this kind of repair. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they're too busy, or sometimes they say, oh, we'll be there in a week or 2. And they have like one guy for the whole state of Texas, things like that. So there are companies that specialize in this that a local guy would have to hire.
Sounds like a good education pipeline.
Right. Apprenticeships, if you get the bid, you have to offer
Like a
apprenticeships.
specialization, right?
Right? Like homegrown
That's right.
need.
I guess the only other question I have
What
too
would
is,
it
you mentioned the newspaper, like putting this in the paper, or like having to send out an invite. Is that really, like, there's no other ways to like get this out to, like?
Yeah, well, we do that because that's required by law, by Texas Government Code. But we also put it on our webpage, and we send it out to the Association of General Contractors, have a plan room in McAllen or Edinburgh.
It's also an
And-
ion wave too.
I'm sorry?
An ion wave. We also have ion wave to kind of.
iWave?
Ion wave.
Ion Wave, can you?
So ion wave is used by our purchasing department, and so that's kind of an electronic database, kind of shoots out like, information on our bids that we have open. So aside from the newspaper, because, I can understand that's a little bit more traditional, but it is still required by law. We also have ion wave that can also do that too.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about people who might be able to do this kind of work, like where are they looking, like, do they know to look at these? Like, oh, okay.
So we're going to try this, and hopefully we get bids. If not, then we'll have to come back and talk about some of these other ideas and what else we can do.
And then, Mr. Tapi, do you want to go ahead and do item D, 3D?
Well, I just want to also show you the pictures of Lamar, the entry. That's right when you go through the front doors, on the top photo you enter, and that's what you see. The office is like 75 feet back from the entry, and you have a classroom, workroom on the left, and you have 3 classrooms on the right, that somebody coming in, that sneaks in behind somebody else when the door opens, there's no protection there, so that's why we're going to redesign it from the top left. It's going to look bottom right. Some of the office is going to be moved toward that room in the front, and we're going to put that security wall similar to what we did at Rodriguez and Wilson, and so we're very excited about making this safety improvement. I already talked about the pool. So the next thing is just getting the financial report from Ms. Humvees.
Okay, so then, before we move on, I just wanted to make a few comments on this, just to draw attention, mostly for the public, to know that, in what we've been hearing about safety grants and TRE funded and the maintenance tax note, we're hearing a lot about AC improvements, we're hearing about safety improvements, we're hearing about air quality for our pools, and I think it's important to know, normally you kind of go, yeah, check, 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 okay, that's fine, but lighting and air quality make a big difference for our kids and for our employees who are there so many hours. And so the fact that our district has, taken the time to put these monies into projects that are important for our kids' learning and for our staff, I think is worth noting, that, the TRE funds are coming, that we're able to use today's dollars to purchase these improvements and get our schools up to speed and to maintain them properly. So anyway, I just wanted to commend your team, Oscar, for not only, working with our leadership to make these important decisions, priorities, but also, you kind of mention it, but it is a really big logistical schema that you use to decide, okay, on this break, we're going to do it here, and on this break, we're going to fix this, so that it doesn't interrupt workflow for the whole team. So anyway, just thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Yes, so Ms. Umbrice, if you'll move on to construction funds and other project financial report.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, committee chair, board members, Superintendent Dr. Curtan, senior team, and members of the audience. So tonight I do have our construction projects as of the end of September 31st, 2025. Encumbered, we have a grand total of $8.8 million under our Fund 199 and 175, which is our TRE. And then we have paid up through September 30th, $6.2 million of those encumbrances, leaving us with a remaining balance of $2.5 million as of the end of September 30th. Do I have any questions?
Any questions on this item? All right. Thank you, Ms. Umbrice. All right, we now will close the Facilities and Safety Committee meeting, and I will turn it over to Dr. Cano Monreal.
All right, good afternoon. The first item that we have for the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee is going to be by Dr. Kevin Garcia, and he's going to talk to us about our continued commitment to financial literacy. I think find some awesome topics that they have in store for Financial Literacy Month. So go ahead and I'll pass it over to you, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, board members, senior team, Dr. Corton, and members of the audience. So it's my privilege today to talk to you about HCISD's continued commitment to financial literacy called Paying Dividends. And so the very first thing, and let me see if we're about to switch over to the presentation. And so the very first thing we want to kind of reiterate is why financial literacy, why continue our commitment and the importance of financial literacy. And so we want to talk about the real life exposure that we provide our students whenever we talk about financial principles. We know that HCISD does a tremendous amount of work to prepare students for post-secondary readiness, whether that's college, career, military, or any endeavor that they want when they graduate from us. But part of, the education that they receive that spans all of those post-secondary items is financial literacy, because regardless where they end up and what they pursue in their life that brings them and their family happiness, we know that items under financial literacy are going to be prominent. And so with our financial literacy continuation, we're also aligned to our strategic plan 2.1, which is well-rounded graduates. We want to begin talking about just how we started with financial literacy and what we built in year one. First off, we had great design team engagement. Our design team met regularly, and our design team was comprised of stakeholders throughout the community, throughout the district, that really just spoke about what we can do to create financial literacy, real-world experiences, and in-classroom experiences that provide that information to our students. And so through that engagement, one of the very first things we did, and thank you to the board for doing this, is establish a financial literacy month in November. So that proclamation last year did great things to just bring the awareness and bring that acknowledgement that we want this for our students and we want it at the highest level possible. And along with that financial literacy awareness was just providing teachers with resources to produce integrated lessons in K through 12. And so when we talk financial literacy, we're not just talking about, sometimes seniors getting ready to graduate or high school students. We're talking about kindergarten students. We're talking about middle school students, that continuum along the line. And really, we wanted to finalize and have a capstone event with our financial literacy conference. So we had a great conference at Harlingen School of Health Professions where we were able to bring in various stakeholders to provide just different topics on what affects financial literacy once they graduate, whether it was credit or debits or digital currency, investing for the future, things of that nature. So a lot of great work happened in year one. But building on year one, our focus on year two is around four objects. And the first one is really continuing that lesson integration, making sure we're not losing sight of what we're doing in the classroom, making sure we're not losing sight of continuing the experience every year for every child in HCISD. And of course, with that, we want professional development for our staff. We want to be able to make sure that they are also sharpening their tools and they're able to add to their lesson toolbox so that as they look at their learners in the class, they're able to offer lessons that are more tailored to their specific needs. And then, of course, we want to make sure that financial literacy is at key events. And so not just making sure that financial literacy is happening in the classroom, but that it's really kind of just part of the culture of HCISD. We want, the community to really see financial literacy as something that HCISD does very well, but also something that they see as a priority. And then finally, we want to look ahead in partnerships and how else we can engage the community, how else we can engage various business or stakeholders or organizations to work with us. And so kind of just expanding upon building our lesson integration, one of the things that we're doing and currently doing is increase resources. And one of the things that we have is a Padlet with a lot of resources for elementary, middle school, and high school, and kind of just seeing where students need that support and making sure that it's applicable to them in that grade level. One of the things that we're doing that's at the forefront, and we're looking ahead, is the College Board, with our AP program and the success we've seen, they're actually introducing a brand new course called Business and Personal Finance. And that Business and Personal Finance course is going to start in 26-27. And I'm extremely committed to the possibility of having this opportunity for our students and engaging with the work with College Board and being one of the first districts in the Rio Grande Valley to offer it to our students. We've gone over it. I've had meetings with College Board talking about how we're going to be able to train teachers, what the course entails, how it's going to prepare them, who can be involved in it, and just all the aspects of what it takes to take a brand new course that's innovative like this and make it applicable to our students, but also execute it with fidelity. And so I've already started conversations with our CTE department as well, as that aligns with our business practices. And so the great thing about this course is that it takes, the perfect marriage of a CTE pathway, which is our business pathway, and adds advanced academics and creates this experience so that students who are in that pathway, they see their path to CTE, but they also see that they're getting this advanced rigor in the classroom through this course. So we're really excited about that. Talking about professional development for staff, we're engaging and working and have for the past few weeks on content support days. And content support days are where we pull teachers from each grade level and get them to work with each other in a setting that's focused on their content and their instruction. And what we've done now is added a layer of financial literacy. And so we're providing them information through their content support days where they're able to investigate the Padlet, and we'll see the Padlet in a moment, where they're able to look at the resource, look at the videos, and see what they're able to engage with their students. In addition, we're in conversations with Building Financial Capacity Coalition. I've been working with Bertha Garza on really how do we bring additional trainings and modules to our students, but also how do we bring those to our staff members and making sure that as we're educating our students in the classroom, that we're also educating our staff and giving them resources as well. And then finally, like I mentioned, College Board, we're working with them so that over the summer, typically we pay between $500 to $600 for a summer institute session with College Board, but because we're engaging with this work with them, they're going to be able to cover the trainings that we have for our teachers through that AP Business and Personal Finance course for free. And so all those resources we'll be able to benefit from and train our teachers very well. Finally, I want to showcase a flyer on celebrating Financial Literacy Month because that's coming up in November, right? And so we're already equipping our teachers, and we showed this to our principals. We're showing it during our content support days. But in November, we're encouraging every teacher to implement the financial literacy lesson during the month, and we're providing them the resources. And one of the things that we're also going to be doing is during the month of November, on November 8th, we'll be at the FACE Family Connection Conference, and so we're going to be there for the community, really providing them resources, having a few sessions. But I want to showcase the Padlet for you because I want to see what it's like to be a teacher or a student and engage with this type of work. And so as you can see, it's if you're a teacher and you necessarily don't have the resources, but you know how to operate a Padlet and get on the internet. We've already laid it all out for teachers to be able to go online, take a look at lessons and videos that have been vetted that are aligned to their grade level. So if I'm an elementary teacher, I can pick, do I want to go through these various government resources or financial literacy resources, or do I just want to show a video to get them just engaged and asking questions and involved? And so as they peruse the lessons, as they identify what's applicable to them, and maybe identify any themes with current instruction that they're doing, then they're able to go through. And of course, the great thing about it is that because they're all vetted lessons, they're able to try any of these with little to minimal preparation because they've already been outlined for them. And so we're really excited about giving that to teachers so that we're not adding to the work, but we're instead engaging in the work with them. And then moving on from Financial Literacy Month and going back to our presentation and the partnerships, we want to be able to look ahead because we're engaging in a lot of work right now, but we know that there's so much more we can do. And if we're going to make this sustainable and, like I said, part of the culture, a lot of what we're doing is really enveloping others. And so I kind of mentioned how we're working with the BFCC. Right now, actually tomorrow, our students, one team and one sponsor from each high school is headed to Brownsville to get trained on the the Money Ambassadors training. And so they'll be there tomorrow and getting trained, and then they have their big competition in the spring, so we're looking forward to that. But we're also looking at community partnerships. How do we bring in other outside entities, whether they're organizations or businesses or any individuals who really want to support and push forward the work of financial literacy? And so as we look at that, we're looking at strategic partnerships that can really add value to what the district is doing in financial literacy, but also looking at current partners and see how they might also engage in the work. Because we have a lot of great partners within the district, and a lot of them, although their work might not be centered around financial literacy, their work is definitely influenced by financial literacy. And then finally, senior seminar. And with senior seminar, I know last time we came together as a committee, you were able to hear a bit. But I want to invite Dr. Reyes to speak a little bit more about senior seminar and the work that's being done with that in financial literacy lens.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia, members of the committee. As you recall, last time we presented on the topic of senior seminar series, lots of good things happening there. And I wanted to take this opportunity to provide you with an update on how this is going and how this connects with financial literacy. So we've been working with the committee members, and we've established and taken steps to make sure that our financial literacy education project doesn't end throughout their high school career, but actually culminates with the senior seminar series. And we've taken steps to ensure that we have literacy education as a large part of our senior seminar series, to include insurance types, savings accounts, investments, retirement, building financial wealth, and an array of topics that are going to make the students more financially savvy, because that's our goal, to make them more prepared for life after high school. And so this is just part of our commitment to financial literacy. Students are ready and to make sure that students are ready for life after high school. What we're excited about is the work that we're doing with the committee, because we have a really strong committee of community members, and the committee is committed to ensuring that we provide a comprehensive program that's not a one and done. And I look forward to providing you updates in the future of our successes. So,
thank you, Dr. Reyes. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I want to open up to any questions or conversations.
Any questions or any discussion items? Mr. Leo?
Can I have a couple comments,
Sure.
please? No, I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Garcia, and thank you, Dr. Reyes. I'm just sitting here just extremely proud of how far this topic has come. It's a huge topic, and I'm hearing everything that I want to hear. We're integrating into our lesson plans. It's age appropriate. I want to celebrate too our partnership with the Building Financial Capacity Coalition. If you're looking for presenters, the best teachers, I think, for our students are other students, if you were to go to that event and see the product that they put out, I think they've recorded some of this too. The kids are amazing at putting out these topics and putting it in a way that the kids will understand and appreciate. So that's just an idea for you. When I sit at that, I'm always just really proud of the product that they put out. It's encouraging to hear about an AP Business course. I mean, that's the type of thing that this program is building towards, is to produce, across the board, just some savvy, but some experts as well, because they're the ones that are going to come back and have to read these HCISD financial statements and just across the board of the companies they work for, future CPAs and bookkeepers and just business owners. So just, I'm extremely encouraged with everything I've seen. Outside of this, I get, a lot of teachers, are telling me what they're doing in their classroom. I just feel like there's a culture that's building, and it's important because, and I'm going to forget the name of the study, but I recently read a study, shared it with the board, that kids from lower income brackets, if they're exposed to people who have more financial savvy, it's quite intuitive. I mean, if they're exposed to people with a little bit more financial savvy, the likelihood that they will rise out of those brackets and have and achieve a higher credit score is much more likely, right? And so we, not just in Harlingen, but in South Texas and Texas in general, have low credit scores. And so I think through the district, if we're providing that experience for those kids, we're going to increase the probability that they can rise up out of those levels, change cycles. I think that you're putting a priority on it more than you ever have here in the district, and just extremely proud of you all for doing it. Anything that we can do to help, just say the word. But great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cortan.
If I could add to that, excellent comments, Trustee Leal. Excellent comments as always from you. And to go back to my comment, and it just kind of goes on to one of the comments he was talking about, that group. I don't remember the name of the group you said, where they have
The Building Financial Capacity Coalition.
other students and things like that. Adam, that was going to be my main point to both the senior seminar and then as you go, I mean, because you're embedding this throughout the district, right? I think the things that I look back on, both personally and then just, friends and things like that, that stepped in the mud with finances along the way, things like that, and things that they learn from and things like that. I can say that what's really powerful for students is to hear anecdotes of what not to do, right? And so I think probably that's embedded in some of the stuff that Mr. Leal is talking about. But I want to make sure that, yes, that we're telling them we want them to be savvy and we want them to know what to do. Sometimes that's forgotten if you don't have them hear from someone that looks like them, or an older brother or sister, and said, well, let me tell you what I did when I got into college and how I messed up my credit. And let me tell you what I did when, I was a whatever, pre-med or pre-this, whatever, and I thought I was just I got some extra cash, and then I thought I was a day trader. Well, and then I lost all my money. And there's like on and on and on examples of what not to do. I do think that the most powerful things are to learn vicariously, and those anecdotes and those stories are going to really resonate, and they'll remember those things. Sometimes remembering what to do is harder without a story and without those anecdotes and without, so I just want to make sure that we kind of, because those are powerful teaching moments when they can hear from someone that says, gosh, I mean, just don't do what I did and you'll be fine. And most of them are going to be, they're there because they got over that. It was, they got over that situation, but those are powerful messages for those students. So I want to make sure that somehow we capture that, because I think it'd be powerful, for them from a learning standpoint.
Yeah, and I think about whenever I talk to seniors and they're going out to college, and I always tell them how they're going to have a great time and they're ready. One of the stories I always tell is how freshman year, Austin, UT, the biggest mistake I probably made was getting a credit card because they were giving out free T-shirts, right? that was the reality. So, and so I tell them listen, these are.
Or you get 4 of them like I did.
Right. Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
And so, and I tell that story a lot because I tell them these things I didn't know, and my parents unfortunately were not in a position to teach me, but now that I know better, I teach better, right? And so making sure, and I agree with that, anything we can teach and move forward with what not to do and counter examples, right? Those are always powerful. So.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you all.
Okay, next up, we're going to move over to Dr. Reyes and Tanya Garza, and they're going to talk to us about our district and campus improvement plans.
I'm going to make sure that this is working. Yes, perfect. So, good afternoon, Committee Chair, Dr. Cortan, board members, senior team, and audience. Today we are digging a little deeper into our district and campus improvement plans. And our district and campus improvement plans are crucial tools. They're very critical in the work that we do because they create a shared vision of excellence for us. They provide a clear roadmap for directors, principals, teachers, and our staff to ensure that our efforts are unified and laser-focused. By relying on data-driven decisions, these plans strengthen accountability and, in turn, build trust with our community. Last month, you got to hear a little bit about data-driven decision-making through PLCs, and that was presented by Dr. Garcia, and the same applies to our improvement plans as they are part of this continuous cycle. Each local education agency must have an improvement plan that is developed, evaluated, and revised annually in accordance with state and district policy. Our district currently has a district-level planning and decision-making committee that develops and evaluates our district improvement plan. This group of leaders is comprised of senior team members, directors, coordinators, and specialists. And then as we continue to evaluate and gain feedback, we bring in our teachers and community members. The purpose of this improvement plan is to guide the district and our staff in the improvement of student performance. And this is for all student groups, right? Not just a select, it is the entire student population. And the goal here is to improve our academic indicators. This one-year plan identifies goals, strategies, budget resources, and a timeline for district improvement efforts. These plans are not just compliance documents. They serve as a framework that really does guide our district and our campus, specifically high-priority items. They drive continuous improvement through data, reflections, and adjustments as we go throughout the year. And most importantly, I've said this again, and I will continue to say it, but it is our roadmap. Our district uses our district improvement plan as our guiding tool, and campuses use theirs as their guiding tool. One of the things that we do with both the district and the campus improvement plans is that in order to promote transparency, we do post our district and campus improvement plans on our district website. One of the things that I want to highlight is that these plans are not standalone documents. They are intentionally designed to align with our HCISD strategic plan. This alignment ensures, one, consistency, and two, coherence in how we set our goals, design strategies, and implement actions across both the district and the campus. And by anchoring our work in our strategic plan and aligning both our district and campus plans, we guarantee that every initiative, every resource, and effort is connected to our long-term vision for student success. Ultimately, this alignment ensures that every campus plan is strategic, meaningful, and moving us closer to the shared priorities in HCISD. This next slide, I know there's a lot on this slide, but this is where all the work truly happens. And so you're able to see a timeline how the district and the campus improvement plans are developed. We begin with the initial engagement in the spring and the summer, typically around February. We begin to review some end-of-year performance, and we process the data to determine strength, needs, and priorities. And this is, like I said, spring through summer, February through June, July, because as the data starts to come in, we gather all of that. Teams analyze this assessment data, attendance, discipline trends, program evaluations, perhaps even teacher and student surveys. They then look, and the second bullet there says comprehensive needs assessment. They begin the work with their comprehensive needs assessments to drive goal setting by identifying root causes and areas requiring targeted support. And both the district and the campus plans focus on 8 areas. A couple of examples of these areas are the demographic, student achievement, culture and climate, staff quality, retention and recruitment, curriculum instruction and assessment, and like I said, there's 8 of them that we use. So once we do this, collaboration between district, departments, and campuses ensure that the findings are connected to our strategic priorities, and we identify those resource allocations. And the goal is to enter the new year, so coming into the fall, into that new year with data-informed understanding of what's working and what needs improvement, right? And so as we go into the second column, in the fall, both at the district and the campus level, we begin to engage different stakeholders. We bring in committees, we have teachers, parents, students, community members to review the data findings and begin to draft these improvement plans. One of the things that we do and we want to focus on here in the fall is we kind of the focus will shift from what did we learn with that comprehensive needs assessment to now what are we going to do, right? And so the district and campus teams align strategies, resources, professional learning to ensure that these plans reflect our district priorities and our needs. Stakeholder input is imperative, and this is where we begin to collaborate, we're transparent, and we're responsive. And so we conduct our district and campus planning meetings, and we really verify the resource allocations and the funding. That's one of the big things. We start to look at our federal funds, our at-risk funding, and how does it apply and connect and align in our plans. Then come October, right here where we're at right now, we begin to share this information with you so that our board is able to review and approve our district and campus performance objectives. The next two columns are a side-by-side of how both the district and the campus work side-by-side, right, or simultaneously in this work. And so again, they're living documents. They require ongoing monitoring and reflection. So from November through March, the district and campuses conduct 3 formative reviews to assess progress towards these goals. And then we begin to adjust strategies and the need. A summative review follows when we summarize our outcomes, our challenges, and next steps for the continuous improvement. And the review process promotes that accountability, the transparency, and the strategic refinement across our district. And the beauty of all of this is that sometimes we may put some very ambitious goals, and sometimes we might say we need to stretch those goals. And so this is where those conversations begin to take place. This additional slide, I just wanted to put something here that was just, that showed it in a different way, but both these district and campus plans are built on that campus comprehensive needs assessment. We identify those strengths and our areas for growth, and then we have to be very strategic in our goal setting. We have to set measurable, inclusive goals to close achievement gaps and strengthen our instruction. And then again, we continuously monitor and see that progress. And then we want to ensure that our board understands their role in the process of both our district and campus plans. So next steps, what comes next? At our next board meeting, your approval of our district and campus improvement plans and our performance objectives is a critical step. This week, later on this week, you will also receive a copy of our campus improvement plans for your corresponding campuses for your review. You will also receive a one-page year-at-a-glance kind of guides, what do we do in August? What are we doing in September? And so we want to make sure that you're able to see that side by side as you're reviewing the campus improvement plans. And again, I just want to stress that these plans, they really do guide our work throughout the year. And most importantly, it ensures that alignment, the accountability, and student success for all students. And so at this time, I will open it up to any questions or conversations, or also from our committee chair.
Thank you very much for that presentation. So we've got some important work coming our way. So anyone have any questions or comments about the presentation or what we're going to be seeing by the end of this week and what we've got to prepare for the board meeting?
I have one question. Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering, the campus engagement piece of it, did the way the campus went about their engagement, was it different kind of campus by campus? I'm imagining that it would be size, et cetera, for a lot of reasons, but I would just wonder if you could summarize some of that.
Yes, and I think that it depends on each of the campuses, right, and what their needs are. But as they begin to review, I just had a conversation with one of our campus principals, and she summarized how she went about doing this. And as both Dr. Reyes and I are going out to visit our campus principals, we intentionally have conversations about their goal setting and the campus improvement plans. And so some of the things that they do as they bring their staff and their committees together, whether that's their parents or community members, is that they come together and it's a workshop time, right? They look at each of the individual goals. They're able to reflect. And so you can't do it all at one time and everybody in one. We really have to break up the work and what is goal one and who's going to sit in goal one and provide some feedback. And then what they do is that is where they indicate, we met this goal. We really need to increase by 10% in our 4th grade RLA. And then they become very specific in that feedback. And so once the principals working with their other administrators are able to gather that information, they will then compile it back, and then they go back for another review, right? So this is the feedback that we received from our committee, from our teachers, and now we review it again to ensure that our strategies are aligned, our budget allocation is aligned, and every month, well, during their formative reviews and finally in their summative, they continue to acquire that information to continue to monitor and adjust. So very similarly throughout the campuses, but I don't know, Dr. Reyes, if you have anything on that one that you may want to add?
As far as the differences across campuses, I think that every campus has its own unique culture, and the spirit and purpose of this document is for it to be a living document. And so the way every principal enacts that has always got its own flavor, but in short, I do think that principals use this as a guide and keep this in an easily accessible location, ideally right next to them, because everything they do, every strategy that's meaningful, that's going to move the needle forward, needs to be documented on this document, and it should be tracked in terms of outcomes. So like you have quarter 1 outcome, quarter 2, and like Mrs. Garza said, if you know where you're at in the current process and enacting your strategy, you can always make adjustments as needed. So when used with fidelity, it's a real powerful tool.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just want to say, I think one of the many strengths of HCISD is our ability to, plan the work and work the plan, right? And so this process really demonstrates that. And engagement, it sounds like, from the teachers, from the community, and then obviously the leadership. So just thanks for the additional information.
Well, I was just going to add, appreciate the remarks both from you and Tanya and Fernanda, but, one of the things that comes to mind is that, we must create uniformity. And I think that was kind of the question, is asked, is that to making sure that we have best practices across all of our primary and secondary campuses, but we got to have more uniformity. You can't have those that do it really awesome and those that just kind of, check in the box and that kind of stuff. This must be embedded. You measure what matters, and then you kind of take that into actionable plans, because you're going to find that it's either people, culture, or strategy problem, or a combination thereof. I mean, you got to figure out where you're at. But if it's not embedded in the work throughout the year, then you really can't really move the needle much. It's going to be very incremental change if you're just checking a box once a year kind of thing. And so I hope that we continue to, and I know we do, have that sort of horizontal, vertical sort of, alignment, so that way we can have more uniformity and how we go through this process, because that's the only way we're going to get those campuses to have really transformative changes that are going to impact student achievement. So thank you for that.
Other questions or comments? I have one. So I know we're going to be looking at these and reviewing and approving next month, or this month, later this month. What about, I know you have the analysis of the data in the spring and in the summer. Does that, how does that come back to us, right? So, are those pieces, right, that we see, okay, this is what we approved, for the goals, what was the outcome, of that?
Yes, and I think that's a vital piece of the continuous cycle of improvement, right? Is that I think that we can definitely evaluate what that final outcome is in the summative review with our campuses, so that we're able to see this is how we measured, right, based on the strategies and the goals that we set throughout the year. And I do think that that's an important item that we can definitely come back and bring to you guys.
I think we appreciate that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will make
Okay.
note of that.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank y'all very much. So with that, I think that I will turn it over to Dr. Corton to talk about any upcoming topics.
So for next month, we've got a couple of systemic things that we're looking at, in particular what programming at our schools looks like. So as we come forward next month, we'll continue that conversation. Great feedback on our second topic, our first and second topic, and great to hear about the feedback loop and bringing that back. That's something that we can absolutely add. So thank you.
All right, with that, I'll go ahead and close the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, and I will turn it over to Mr. Liao for our Finance and Planning meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Monreal. So we'll kick off our own financial education, and Ida's going to provide that to us, and lots of interesting topics. So Ida, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again, committee chair, board members, Superintendent Dr. Hurtan, senior team, and members of the audience. So tonight's topic is in the spirit of audit season, because that is where we're at right now. We're actually close to the finish line. I did want to present, what does the financial audit look like? What does it entail? And I do also have Ms. Nelly Ledesma, who will be presenting towards the end of my presentation, her audit reports on some of the audits that she helped our external auditors this year. So our topics are, what are the TA requirements for a financial audit, preparing for a financial audit, importance of internal controls, and the systems for internal audit. So, every year, every single Texas school district has to, by TEA requirements, submit an annual financial audit. So at the end of every fiscal year, right, we close out our books, and we summarize, we finalize all our reconciliations, review it one last time, and then we submit that over to a CPA firm who is qualified to perform a financial audit for a Texas school district. Districts with a year end of June, which would be us, we must submit our audit to TA's Financial Compliance Division by November 27th. So that's right around the corner. That is at the end of next month. In addition to the financial audit, the CPA firm will also conduct a single audit on the district's federal grants. So any governmental entity with federal awards exceeding $750,000 must have that single audit conducted. And so for our district, our size, we have about $32 million in federal awards, so we are definitely having a single audit this year. The purpose of this audit is to provide an opinion on the entity's compliance with federal regulations and the accountability of federal funds. So, as I mentioned earlier, in the beginning, as we review and prepare for this financial audit, we're gathering all of the necessary documents, right, to be able to provide to our auditors. We're finalizing bank reconciliations, we're reviewing our general ledgers, we're gathering all the payroll journals, we're looking at our bid files in purchasing department, and making sure that we have all of our documents in order, because we know that that's what's going to be reviewed and requested by our external auditors. We also do a review of our internal controls in our business office, and the way we do that is on an annual basis, and usually it's around the summertime, that we review and look at all of our procedure manuals in the accounting department, in the purchasing department, and we look to see are there any improvements that we can make, right, to our current procedures and strengthen those internal controls. And so we do those updates, and then that also helps us get ready to do our financial training that we do with our departments and our campus secretaries every July. So that's one piece that kind of gets us ready for our financial audit. And then lastly, we also review our prior year's audit recommendations, right, or any findings that they may have had in last year's audit. And so typically when they provide an audit report to us, they also provide this long letter. It's a management letter. And in that letter from the auditors, right, they will identify, for us, certain areas that maybe when they looked at and reviewed that could use improvements, right? Improvement on our controls. And so we take a look at that, right? As soon as the audit is complete, we take a look at that management letter, and then we work on trying to apply our action plan, right? Because in response to those management comments, to us, we have to respond back to our external auditors and explain to them how we plan to rectify some of those issues that they found, right? Or how can we improve on those efficiencies, right, in our procedures that we have. And so we do take a look at that, make sure that we have implemented all of that before the external auditors come out to do their audit. And so maintaining open communication is also very important for us to maintain with our external auditors. And so this is, of course, to make sure that we're being transparent throughout the entire audit process. If there were any changes in our internal controls, any changes in procedures, any changes in staffing as well, right? We want to make sure we communicate that with our external auditors. So that helps them to design their test of controls that they're going to implement on the district. And so aside from looking at all of our financial statements, right, they also look at other components, right, of the district. And so I think this is important for me to highlight is that, these are some other items that our external auditors also review while they're out here doing their financial audit. One is the information technology audit. So every year they'll come out and they will conduct a small mini information technology audit, which usually means they'll ask us for a list of all the users that, use the bank account, that, that use our financial systems, that use our student activity programs. And they want to make sure, and they test those controls to make sure that, everybody that has access to those systems are actual employees, right, of the district. And then also to review what kind of resources have we allowed for them to have. They also look at our firewalls. They also take a look at our cybersecurity. Every year they do ask us for copies of our certificate of trainings that all of the employees at the district have to do for cybersecurity. So we provide all of that to them for their information technology audit. They work with the technology team, and I think I have Jaime Reyes out there in the audience, and so he is definitely a key component of that piece of the audit there. And then also the single audit. So for our single audit, they take a look at all of our federal grants that we have for the year, and they determine which major programs they're going to be testing, right, that year. And so they determine some high-risk areas and some low-risk areas. And then they go on to tell us, okay, these are the grants that we're going to test, and they will provide, samples for us to pull out for payroll-related items that they want to test and for non-payroll-related items they want to test. And then we have our self-funded health insurance audit. So they'll select a sample, and this is a test that Ms. Nelly Ledesma helps us with our external auditors. And she'll sit with Rachel Cortez, which is our Director of Employee Benefits, and they'll do a small little audit on claims, right, related to our self-funded health insurance. We also have test of controls for financial procedures. Again, going back to those procedure manuals that we want to make sure we have updated, they'll ask for those procedure manuals, they'll take a look at them, and then they'll select and design their test of controls for payroll, human services, purchasing, and so on. And then they also have a student file testing for PEIMS, at-risk, SPED, bilingual, all our special population groups of students. And this is another test that Ms. Ledesma also helps our external auditors with. And then lastly, there's the financial analytics section of the audit. This usually comes at the end of the audit, where they will provide a list of questions, right, for us to be able to explain what happened, right? And so the financial analytics will be budget to actual. We'll have to explain any variances there that we have budget to actual. They'll also have some analytics there on our balance sheet, right? You had X amount of cash, at this point in time this year compared to last year, may have been increased or decreased. Can you explain why? And so we go through that process of providing those financial analytics, which also helps us when we are preparing the management and discussion analysis component of the financial audit. So as soon as we finish our financial audit, there's another piece that we continue to move forward with, and that is the piece for us to be able to submit for the GFOA award. In order to do that, we need to compile this statistical section at the end of our financial report, where we're giving more information to our readers and our community, to be fully transparent, right? We give them information on economic trends. And then aside from our statistical section, we have our management discussion analysis report, which is in the beginning of our audit report, that helps explain to the users, right, and the readers of our report, what happened this year. This is how we're telling our financial story for our financial audit report. And so all of that is part of the financial audit. Importance of internal controls. Again, I think that's super important for us to make sure that we have our controls in place and that they are providing us the effectiveness that we need to have all of our processes in the business office. Helps safeguard operations, finance, and compliance. Helps us maintain that accuracy in our financial reporting. It also helps us improve our workflow efficiency as well. And then lastly, effective controls provide that clarity on employee responsibilities that results in accountability and transparency. So systems for internal audit. So luckily for Harns and CISD, we do have an internal audit department, and the internal auditor supports the external auditor with audit tests assigned by the external auditor. The internal auditor also audits throughout the year to review campus and department procedures and provide recommendations for improved efficiencies. And that's a big help for the business office because as she's conducting those audits throughout that year, that again also helps us strengthen our controls and our processes and procedures throughout the year. And so here tonight, I do have Mrs. Nelly Ledesma and Ms. Nina Pullen to provide to you a quick snapshot on the different tests that she worked on with our external auditors this summer.
Thank you, Ms. Ida. Oops. Okay. So, thank you so much. Good afternoon, Ms. Julian, committee members, Dr. Corton, members of the board, and senior administration. So like Ms. Ida was saying, we do assist the external auditors every year, and if you recall in our audit plan, that is the number one item that we have listed is to assist them in the external audit. And so that does take, pretty much maybe 2 or 3 months of our time as we're going back and forth and conducting the tests and communicating with them and just working with them. So this testing begins actually in the summer in June because we do need to do end of the year inventories for them, and that is as of June 30th. So usually June 30th, we're off. That's one of the days where I think our little summer break begins. So we need to also make sure that we do it probably the Thursday before we're off. And so myself and Ms. Nina Pullen, we, communicate with them. They, usually what we do is we contact the cafeterias and the child nutrition department right before school ends. And so we start getting a listing of all the cafeterias that have closed for the summer as of May, and then the ones that will be open for summer school, and then the ones that will not be, or the ones that will be closing later on after the summer. And so what we do is this year, the external auditors decided that they wanted to choose the campuses that we're going to go to. And so we coordinate with them and we go out and do these audits in the summertime. So along with, and I think y'all have the audits there on your left-hand side of your notebook. I think they were included there in the stapled area. So if you would just want to refer to them. So like I said, because we are independent, they do rely on our work when we are doing these audits. And the 6 audits that we did do for them this year are there in y'all's notebook, and they are the end of the year inventory observations. And this would be for child nutrition, commodity warehouse, maintenance, transportation, and central receiving warehouse. Now, they do select the number of items they want us to look at, and then they let us select the same number on our own, and then we just verify that the items are, the ones that are listed are correct, and then we also choose from the shelf to the list to make sure that any items that we do see at the premises are actually on the listing. And this year we did have one of the external auditors join us and at 3 of the sites, and he also just wanted to test the controls and see how things looked at our district. The other test that we also conduct for them is the bid testing, and that is something that we do annually, and that's just, they choose 25 vendors with transactions over $50,000 so that we can look and see that we do have the bid testing requirements on file. And so we do look at those, and this year the transactions ranged from $55,000 to $1.17 million for a total of over $6 million of transactions that we looked at. And then the other audit that we did was the audit of PEAMS student classification eligibility, and that's for all the student classification, the SPED, special ed, dyslexia, LEP, at-risk, and CCMR. And so we did look and make sure that those students that were coded for these special populations were eligible to receive those services. And that also takes a lot of coordination because we need to go get the student files from the campuses and then meet with each of the directors to ensure that we do have the information that we need to be able to test for eligibility. The next audit that we also do for them is the state compliance program intent coding for payroll disbursements, and also the program intent coding for non-payroll disbursements. And then, of course, we also do the audit of self-funded insurance. And so, like I said, CRI did rely on the work performed on these audits and their assessment of the district's internal controls, as well as the data quality and financial integrity in these areas. The audit should be presented in November. And I'm pleased to report that aside from some minor variances in inventories, which were, although they were immaterial, we did decide to expand our sample a little bit more and by choosing a few more items, but everything was okay. All the audits resulted in no findings. We did have one little discrepancy in the PIC payroll testing, and that's just a matter of just us recoding that one employee to the right program intent code. But other than that, everything was great. We had no findings, and I'm here to answer any questions y'all might have.
So, Mr. Chair, a good question.
Yes, please.
What do you expect the comments to be this go around with regards to our fund balance as compared to last year, which was obviously a much bigger change from the previous year? Do you have any sense of what the comments are going to be or the recommendations there?
Yeah, I don't want to, predict what they're going to say, but I do know that they have been looking at every transaction, large transactions in more detail. And I think that they realize that the district has tightened up their belts and that we are monitoring our expenses. And so I think that's going to be favorable.
Well, and Mr. Chair, if I could comment, I just, on behalf of the board, I just want to thank you, Nellie, for embedding yourself more in this work. As far as, I know you have a lot of different things to audit every year internally, and then you help, obviously, our external auditors prepare the external audit, which is a very important function, although it's very retrospective. It's much after the fact, for the previous year, right? In this case, for 24, 25, but ending in end of June. But it's important that we go through this exercise. I guess what I want to, kind of further kind of plug is the concept of you being sort of embedded in the work in the district, although your independence is extremely important as an auditor, and we can assure you as a board that you have that, right? You report to us and not the district, but by the same token, the advising and assurance that you can do, and I want to thank Dr. Corton for sort of, kind of getting you more involved at the senior team level as to her choosing. I think that kind of work, for what I've seen in organizations, in education and otherwise, that type of situation is best practices. You develop relationships. You're not the sort of gotcha person and things like that, and you're going to actually bring a different lens to the situation and ask questions and really, really, really allow them to do, you know, the work, you know, in a much better sort of risk-averse situation. And I think that that's going to be very important as we go forward. So I just, you know, want to thank you all for kind of getting Nellie more involved here and there in the right way. And I thank you for you know, working on that advisement piece and the advising role as opposed to sort of the checking grades and the gotcha sort of situation.
Right.
I think it's much better if you have those relationships and you're part of the work and you allow them to do their job in a much better fashion. So thank you for leaning in that regard, especially with regards to the bigger picture of budget and those kind of things. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions on audit or financial planning? Nellie, quick question for you about, and thank you for the work, that the presentations that you made today. In your audit calendar, are you on schedule? Are things moving along?
Yes. Mhm.
Given the original calendar?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. And so right now, we're presenting this because we're not going to present in October
Okay.
like we're scheduled. November will be the external audit, so maybe December, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll be able to present those audits that we were scheduled to present to y'all in October and then.
Well, it's a lot, so
Yes,
thank you
it is.
for your efforts to keep up with it, because I think we're still getting really quality looks at everything and interacting with all the right departments. On the outside of things, if employees if they spot something, if a parent or member of the community spots something, they can contact you, right?
And they
You've got a
do.
way for them to
Yes.
communicate with you?
Right. We have, of course, the anonymous hotline that they
Mhm.
can always use, and that comes to myself and Dr. Corton. And then we do get those random calls from
Yeah.
parents, from citizens. We get them from, you know, our employees too.
Yeah, just another internal control.
Right, right.
Inside and outside. Well,
Which I'm glad that they feel comfortable enough to call us.
yeah, I mean, that I think we're being incredibly transparent, including, you know, Ida talked about, you know, our financials, we're pursuing a higher level of fidelity on our financials, trying to
Right.
achieve certain credentials. But, you know, at the end of the day, you can always pick up the phone.
Right. And it's a team
express
effort,
the
you know.
concerns,
We're
so.
all working together for the same goal.
Thank you for that. So I'm going to go back to Ida on her presentation. You talked about year ends sometimes, we end the year in June.
Yes.
Do some other school districts do a calendar year?
We
And is there
still
an
have a few
advantage to-
districts out there that have an August 31st year end. And if you remember, previous to our June 30 year end, we were an August 31st year end for many, many years. And then, I can't remember what year it was, it's probably been about 7 years already that we have become a June 30th.
So it's only been about 7 years that's changed,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's a big help for budget purposes, right? Because it was always kind of a struggle, right, for our campuses to come back and from summer break, and we're still trying it towards the end of our fiscal year, but yet they're needing to order items, right, for their new school year. So making that change to June 30th has been a really big help for our campuses.
Okay. And you had mentioned in your presentation, all of these ancillary internal controls is CRI performing the look at all those outside internals? Like you talked about IT and
Yes.
federal grants,
Yes.
health insurance claims.
Yeah, so
CRI is performing those
CRI is
functions also?
performing all of those, and they do that every single year that they come out. So sometimes a lot of people kind of envision what a financial audit is just all about numbers and financials and the balance sheet and the income statement. But they deep dive really into like all of our procedures and processes, including our health insurance, including our internal controls, and the technology. And that actually started in probably about 5 years ago, you know, and I think it's because of, you know, you're hearing a lot more in the news, right? Stories of organizations, right, being, ransacked or ransomed, for cybersecurity attacks, right? And so I think that's really important, and it's a great benefit for us as a school district to have an outside CPA firm come in and take a look at our controls that we have currently with our technology. And so, kudos to Mr. Reyes and his department. They do an excellent job, and also for Mr. Rangel over at Data Systems. they keep, everything as secure as they possibly can, right? We have the firewalls, and they're constantly reviewing our servers. We're constantly looking at our user list, making sure that if an employee terminates, right, with the district, that we remove access to them for any access they may have, right, to, either our banking accounts or our financial systems or student systems. And so those checks and balances are done throughout the year.
When we talk about continuous improvement in the classroom, I mean, this is also a continuous improvement cycle.
Yes.
You've got to have those relationships, I mean, in particular with your bank,
Yes.
with TextPool. I mean, I think we need to be reaching out in some control, that making sure that the personnel they have on file matches the personnel we have on file.
Yes.
And there are no old people or other people or anybody
Exactly.
else with tentacles where they shouldn't be.
Right.
So that's part of internal control, but, it's also, it's just something that's on our minds, and we need to be vigilant about all that stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions, comments on financial planning? Thank you, Ida,
Thank you.
and thank you, Nellie, for the presentations. So I think the next item, I'll kick it back over to Dr. Cortan.
I actually think that we are ready for adjournment,
Okay.
unless there's any other business around our committee meetings today.
You can adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.